Robert's residence.
Welcome home, Sydney. You're a survivor, aren't you, Sydney? What good's it to be a survivor if everyone close to you is dead? You can't save them. All you can do is watch.
Modern audiences have become savvy to the rules of the originals. I mean, there are still rules, but the rules have changed.
And the kill's gotta be like way more extreme.
All right, back with Scream 4, returning to kill a fresh, new, fine-ass crop of white teenage girls.
That's right, return of the Ghostface Killer.
I don't know. You said a fresh new crop. I see that Courtney Cox and Nev Campbell still in this. Ain't nothing fresh about either one of them.
Leon, that's what happens when you don't kill teenage girls. They get old.
Well,
Okay, so the killer's actually the hero in this.
now you've got like Hayden Panettiere or however you say it. I
Panettiere.
just think panties, and that makes me happy.
Yeah.
From of course, from Heroes and Nothing Else, pretty
The
much.
cheerleader.
And
Yeah.
Emma Roberts, who's hot.
The weird thing is looking at this trailer, every time I see it, all I can think about is like, okay, I've already seen this movie a billion times.
Well, co-host hipsters needed a new horror movie to talk about in the coffee shop because that's what this kind of movie is. This movie is for that one smartass in the room who has to throw the word meta into every conversation.
Oh, Carlisle?
Yes. Yeah. They got you want to stab for real in real life. No. Because listen, if you remember the first Scream, I mean, what made the first Scream so popular is that it was very self-referential about the state of horror movies.
It was meta at a time when people weren't saying meta.
Well, when
it
it was
was
unknown, when no one was doing meta.
Not at all.
Yeah, exactly.
They weren't.
Very surprising film.
Yeah, and that's what made that film so cool and fun to watch and funny. It's like, wow, a horror movie that I can enjoy, laugh at, and yet be scared at the same time.
Yeah,
that
which is why by the time it got to 3, when they had just run out of meta humor, they were making fun of their own series because they had made fun of all the rest of them already.
And now that series has become the Sarah Connor, where you actually want to go back in time and like destroy it, make sure it doesn't happen, so you never have to hear that term.
Yeah, you want to go back and kill Kevin Williamson, or who wrote the script? Yeah, you want to send a robot after his ass, to like destroy him.
Well, it just reached that point where the Scream movies were indistinguishable from the scary movies.
Yeah, they got merged and just
They did.
into
They
one thing.
Well,
but I mean, that being said, y'all are making fun of meta. I mean, it's a term that you use that there's no other word to describe that lots of entertainment does, including entertainment that you guys love, like Archer and the Venture Brothers. But Scream 4, and I admit, it's been 10 years, right, or something. Anyway,
It's been too long.
it's been
How about
some
that?
period of time, and horror has the rules of horror, as it were, which was the basis of the game of Scream. That the guy was all concerned, the killer's always concerned about the rules of horror. The rules of horror have changed in this day and age because we've had to sit through a lot of torture porn and shit like that.
Right.
So,
Well, that's the thing about this film. I mean, granted, now after Scream and 2 and Scream 3, we've been given a lot of films that are very self-referential. I mean, Nick Frost and Simon Pegg, they gave us like 2 great films that do that: Shaun of the Dead and also
Hot Fuzz.
Hot Fuzz, yeah. So, and they even reference that in this movie, at least Shaun of the Dead they do. And so you look at this and you say, what can they do that can resurrect this series? Because you're right, when you got to Scream 3, you were screaming yourself, no, not another one. It does recognize that the rules of horror have changed. It also does not want to just reference the genre of horror. It wants to reference the state of entertainment itself, what it takes to be famous. How has entertainment been changed by new technology? Foremost, that being social media such as Twittering and YouTube, and what people are getting famous for. And
I got to say, I got a bad feeling about everything you're saying right now.
Well, I mean, all I'm thinking about is, so it's Scary Movie Part 4. I mean,
Yeah.
there's already a scary movie.
or Part
geez.
5, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, you're the only one paying attention, all right?
now, looking at it, it does suffer from, whatever you forgave the first Scream 4, because I don't think it's perfect, but it had so much groundbreaking stuff going on and did it well that you forgave it for a lot of things. Now we get to Scream 4 here. You're like, I've seen this already, so whatever you fuck up on, I'm not going to forgive you this time, all right?
Be hyper aware of all the mistakes now because it's nothing new.
Yeah. You are not a child anymore, okay? When you fuck up,
That's it.
you're going to be called on it. It has been 10 years since the first events, and everybody remembers Sidney Prescott, played by Nev Campbell, who is now almost 40, but she has
No choice but to be in Scream 4.
But no,
That Party of 5 reunion is never happening.
in the movie, she has created a self-help book behind her experience with the Woodsboro murders that occurred, and is on a successful tour. She's trying to act all high and mighty, like, I don't want to cash in on the misery of people, but on my last book tour, just for marketing, I'm going to stop by the town where all the killings happened before, and I'm going to come here and have a book signing. Meanwhile, you know that if she's around, Ghostface ain't too far behind. It's a wonder people just don't leave town whenever she comes in.
I gotta admit that if I was her, I'd be like, you know what? Statistically, what are the odds of this happening 4 times in a row? I'm gonna go back there.
I'm sure Die Hard said the same thing.
That's what they should do. Bring Bruce Willis in to get rid of Ghostface. But the killings start to happen again. Now, because of that, we also have to bring in some of the characters that we have seen before. David Arquette returns as Sheriff Dewey. He's married.
David Arquette? Wow.
Yeah, you know, he was married to the reporter Gail Weathers, who in the film has written a series of books on the actual murders, but here she has writer's block and doesn't know what else to write, so she gets pulled back in.
She's Courtney Cox, and they were married in real life. So are they separated in the film is the question everyone is burning to find out.
Only Cyrus is burning to find out.
Well, it's funny because I was listening to him today, and he was talking about how, like, well, they met on the set of the first Scream, and they got married when they did the second Scream, but the third Scream they had a child. So now with the fourth Scream, they're getting divorced. It's like you can chart their entire history through these movies.
That actually would have been
significance at all. That's what it is.
No, they should have done that in this movie. They don't actually bring that in here. They don't play on the media stuff that's happening. I don't know if it's because the script was written before they were out there, or if it's because they just didn't want to bring that much attention to it, which I thought it would have been clever. But no, they're not getting divorced. Actually, they're about as happy. Let's just say David Arquette is probably watching this movie and saying, "Fuck, man."
Yeah, right. I would love.
Why can't my life be like that?
Yeah, I would love for them to go to their friend's house and they actually have their DVD collection where you can see it in plain view. You see Scream 1 through 4. It's like, wow, there's my life in chronological order.
Yeah. And rounding out the cast of new characters in the movie, you have a couple of perpetually live casting film geeks played by Eric Knudsen and Macaulay Culkin's little bro, Roy Culkin. And then you have the local bad boy played by Nico Tortorella, whatever. And then you have a glorified cameo by Anthony Anderson as a local deputy. Okay, at this point, the thing that has changed about the rules of horror is that anybody, after a certain amount of time, especially with the Scream series, anybody could be the killer. And that's one of the things that the movie does pretty well. Listen, the movie opens up, and I don't even want to spoil too much. It's one of those films where when you walk out, there's a guy just shoving a piece of paper in your hand saying, go ahead and Twitter this. I fucking dare you to do it. Because there's so much stuff in here that you can spoil. Just like the first Scream, it opens up with a really cool twist on what they did before. But like I said, you've seen it already, so it doesn't pack as much of a punch as sort of the first Scream did.
So either Kristen Bell or Anna Paquin die, is what I'm assuming. Since they're near the bottom of the cast list, I'm guessing, just wild guess, that's what happened.
Well, that's what you see. That's what you think, and yet this movie somehow manages to still stay ahead of what you think is going to happen.
So they pull Drew Barrymore out of the grave and they kill her again.
And they kill her again, hang a skeleton up. And a lot of stuff does follow the same kind of template that they had in all 3 films.
Who is this?
Think of me as your director. You're in my movie. Don't blow your role.
What movie?
Same one Marnie's in, only her part got cut way back. You've still got a page or 2 left. Marnie was the brainy friend, so boring. That character always dies first.
That's not funny.
This isn't a comedy, it's a horror film. People live, people die, and you'd better start running.
But while it does nothing new, it manages to remain relevant by making a statement about, not only horror, but also the state of entertainment, sequels, reboots, social media, and the mistake that our culture makes by creating overnight celebrities. And again, it comes back to Kevin Williams' script. I mean, he's, as we mentioned before, there's a lot of meta stuff going on in here, but he knows how to make it fun.
So it was written by him again?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the good things that I liked about it, besides what I said about it being unpredictable, is that it still manages to capture a good blend of horror and comedy. Well, I don't think it's as scary as the first one because there's definitely more, a little bit more humor here. It still manages to blend in very well.
That's good because, the thing is, the only thing I really worried about as far as this film, if I see it again, if I see the same stuff I've seen before, okay, maybe that'll be okay. But the one thing I really worried about was Wes Craven, because it seems like when the guy isn't working on a Scream movie, all his other movies is like he forgot how to direct.
Yeah, the last one, My Soul to Take, was like some kid right out of high school made that movie.
Really? Okay. So
Awful.
were you able to tell? At least was the directing competent?
Well, that's actually a good point, because all the stuff that you are laughing at is probably stuff that's more written than it is directed. I mean, there are some lines in here that are very funny. I mean, there are some things in here that they reference that are very funny, but some of the dialogue in this is terrible. And not so much because they were written bad, but because they weren't directed that well. The scene was cut that ended on a really bad line, or was cut on a person's expression that really made them look like they were reading that line badly.
Sounds like a CBS sitcom.
Well, like there's one scene where you have David Arquette. They cut the scene on him he's like, it was almost played out like this. It's like, oh man, the killing has started again, and he turns his head to the side. Damn, and then the scene cuts. They actually have a scene in here where a girl makes a joke and then faints to the ground. And as much as people are going to come out loving this movie, because everyone loves this series, I mean, just based on the first two Screams, people love Wes Craven because of his contribution to horror, because he's created some icons. Look, you got to give it to the guy. He created Freddy Krueger.
Genre is that one thing. You do one good thing in your, not saying Wes did, he did several, but if you do just one good thing, people will always go down, don't talk shit about them.
Yeah, that's right.
They did that one thing.
Well, hey,
Yeah.
me being a Wes Craven fan, I will easily admit when he's fucked up. He's fucked up a lot
He fucked
since
up
the
a lot,
Nightmare
much
series. Yeah.
more than he has not.
Yeah.
No,
Shocker
I mean,
was
yeah.
shit. All right.
No, he's made the guy has
you
made
admit that.
yeah.
Finally.
No, Shocker is a piece of shit. But
No,
I still like watching it.
My
Yeah,
Deadly
it's terrible,
Friend.
but-
and
yeah.
that one with the monkey.
I don't know, man. My Deadly Friend was actually pretty cool.
No,
like that scene.
I love
That scene with that scene at nighttime with the basketball that chick is like up against the wall screaming, and the BB throws the ball at her head and it explodes. I thought it was a kind of a funny film.
It's incredible.
I didn't know what movie you were talking about, but now I remember. I remember you guys have talked about that scene with the basketball.
Oh, yeah, no.
Over and over.
It's the old chick from Throw Mama from the Train. The bitchy mother.
Yeah,
figure all
sure,
the time.
sure.
Yeah.
And the
but
Goonies.
but
in the Goonies, yeah.
it sounds like y'all really love that one scene, and the rest of the movie is
You
just a
don't
big
remember?
throwaway.
No. Actually, that one scene is the icing on the cake. But I just love the ridiculous idea of that film.
Okay, Leon, I only saw that one scene. I haven't seen the rest of the movie.
He watched that on
Well,
YouTube.
I own it on DVD.
Well,
all right,
we're
so-
getting off track here anyway. You're right. I mean, I don't think Wes Craven is as strong as a director. I mean, if he was ever as strong as his idea as a director, I think he directs actors pretty bad. And in this one, there's a lot of scenes where if it wasn't for the writing, this would be a pretty bad film.
Well, besides the comedy, I mean, how does he do as far as the suspense? I mean, just building up to the killings. I mean, are those worth the shit at all in this movie?
I am glad you asked that question, co-host. And no, the killings are not particularly special or imaginative. They're probably just about average. There's one scene where a girl is sitting on a bed and her stomach and intestines are hanging all out, but outside of that, just a lot of stabbings to the stomach. I mean, somebody will be sitting up there and just stab somebody in the stomach. There's one scene in particular, though, where there's a kill that is so stupid. There's a woman who was in her car who, instead of just driving away, gets out to yell at the killer, is setting herself up to just be slaughtered right there. And I don't know, maybe they were making a statement about the dumb victim in horror films, but if they were, I didn't see it. So, but I will say this, the end of this movie gets fucking crazy. I mean, right when you think like, okay, it's done, that was all right, the end goes nuts. And they keep going, and they know that they're doing that. I mean, they even say it. We know this is kind of getting silly here, but because they just go that wild with it, it's like, all right, now that you sold me right there. It's,
All right, now I feel like I need to see this.
Yeah, I know. Me too. You're making me want to see it.
No, I'm not going to say it's as great as some of the people who came out with me are saying that it's great, because it is good. If you're not scared by it, you're going to have a lot of fun with it, and you're going to get some good laughs. I mean, even when those scenes that have a lot of humor in them don't work, or if you have a little bit of bad acting there, there's still a lot of fun things that they reference here. I mean, even with the references, it's fun to watch that, and sometimes it gets old. I mean, it's they start to maybe sound like a pretentious film student. I mean, it's a funny novelty at first to see characters be aware and explain what stereotypes they are in a film, but then it gets awkward when characters have to over-explain themselves. I mean, would they just stop the movie? I mean, imagine if characters just stopped to say things like, "Oh, we're the couple that just had sex. We're so fucking dead, man." Or, "Well, you know, I'm the token black dude that just wandered off by himself, so you know I'm gonna die." Or, "I'm the jump scare cat." You know, and it's like, there's one point where you have enough of that, and it's like, okay, maybe you're getting, I hate to say this word, maybe you're getting a little bit too meta here. So if you're a fan of the Scream series, then I think this is going to take you back. Not as good as the first one, but it's going to take you back to what you loved about that first movie. The only thing that you don't have that you have here is that, well, it's not going to trump the original, because I was really surprised by that. I kind of know what to expect here.
If you remember Scream 2 and 3, would you say that it's better than 2 and 3?
Oh, no, I wouldn't say it's better. Look, definitely better than 3. You know, I'm taking a shit right now looking in the toilet. You know, that's better than 3. But I would say
that's so meta, Corey.
It's almost like they made this because they said we gotta make up for 3. We can't go out like that.
10 years later.
Or alternately, they said, there's some money to be made.
Right,
here.
exactly.
Which I think is probably more realistically. The
Well, I mean, because
conversation
honestly, with this series, I'm like, is anybody looking for another Scream movie? Really?
Yeah, I know. That's why I was shocked that they
once a
made
series has been parodied to death, like the scary movies
Right.
have, it's like, you know, it loses its whole thing that attracts people.
That
to go
being
see
said, the scary movies were just straight up spoof. They were like that whole sort of totally broad humor, like, here's an image you recognize from this horror thing, which is, you know, people say pun's the lowest form of humor. No, the scary movies and its kin are the lowest form of humor.
Yeah.
But the Scream movies were smarter than that. And I think that they just ran out of stuff to use their type of humor with. Really, they had already taken it all on in the slasher. I mean, the only other option was to start having like a nightmare killer or something and play with those genre conventions, which would have been silly in the context. But you know, I'm kind of looking forward to Scream 4. I'm like, it has been a while, and the rules of horror have changed, and I'm a big horror fan. I'm hoping David Arquette gets lovingly tortured for 30 minutes of this. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing some Arquette torture porn.
Wait a minute, you talking about before he tortures you?
Yeah, I was saying he's been torturing audiences for long enough. It's
Yeah, I
only
know.
fair.
I know,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, go watch some of his older movies. They're a lot scarier than this fucking scary movies.
No, there's a lot of people. I mean, they bring back everybody that they can for this. I mean, even bring back the guy who plays Ghostface, who's behind the mask, Dane Farwell. I've always.
What about Jamie Kennedy? Does he come back to be the
he's
expert?
dead.
No,
that's right.
anybody that's alive, all right. But they one of the things that I like about Ghostface is that Ghostface is always a new character. But one of the things that Ghostface does is Ghostface always has that cool ass sexy voice. You know, and I've always thought, like, you know, Ghostface could fucking. Why is he killing people? You know, why don't he go work in radio? So, you know,
Or have like a sex line or something.
So, yeah.
Hey, this is Ghostface. What are you wearing?
Hello.
I'm just wearing panties.
I'm wearing nothing but a ghost face.
I'm waiting for him to team up with Jigsaw and they do a Quiet Storm radio show.
And now with the weather, we have Jigsaw. It's gonna rain. But man, you know, but they even bring back the guy. They even bring back the guy who does.
Leon's dying over here.
Somebody cut his
The
ass.
guy from Family Guy, and that made us all happy. It's the rain.
You probably didn't know that there was a guy who is the actual voice of Ghostface. A guy named a guy named Roger L. Jackson does the voice of Ghostface. So don't think you can go out and buy one of those.
If I'm not mistaken, he does the voice of Mojo Jojo from the Powerpuff Girls.
I don't know. He might. No, he could.
Yes, he does. And Butch.
Okay, there you go. No,
But, he's back here again because who else is going to do it? 'Cause honestly, horror fans are you know, we're not totally picky, but things that are as important as that, we'd be like, hey,
yeah.
Ghostface.
I always thought it was the guy who did Optimus Prime, but you know, Ghostface roll out. But you know, but no, it's they bring that guy back, so people don't think you can get a little Ghostface device and you can sound like him because there's one guy who does it. It's not like buying a Darth Vader helmet or anything like that. Don't confuse him with Samuel Jackson because that'd be a different kind of scream. Ah! So you know,
It's funny because I've seen that guy and he's like a fat redhead who wears glasses.
Is he?
Yeah.
Wow.
Ain't that cool?
Did I ruin it?
I would love to see that audition where they're just kind of like, why don't we just use the voice? He just stand up, to fucking stomach sticking out from under the robe. He got gout sticking out from under the fucking mask. But
look, no, he can't catch anybody. He can't even catch his breath.
he's still got glasses on, like on outside the ghost face mask. but you know, I would give this movie, now like I said, I'm not going to like it as much as everybody else. I just cannot forgive certain scenes that I thought just ended badly. They stood out to me. They stood out to me very, very much. So I think, you know what, and let me recommend it to you guys to go see this at midnight. It would be an amazing experience to see this with a bunch of people who are looking forward to this and actually have it be a decent film for that crowd and for the fans. I would put it up there right with, it's not as good as the first Scream, but it's right up there with Scream 2, if not just a little bit behind. So I would give this a high matinee. The things that are bad about it are just that noticeable. So it's a fun movie. It's a fun movie. Like I said, it can get a little annoying with some of the referential stuff, but that's the thing that makes it smart. I mean, this would be perfect if at the end of the movie, it was Quentin Tarantino who was the killer. He comes up ready to stab somebody, pulls off the mask.
Now this is the part where I'm supposed to leap out and kill you all, making the audience jump, man. But I'm going to turn the genre on his head, like Dario Argento did with Deep Red, which was poorly received in 1975, man. But because it was seen as
These aren't just random killings.
There's something really scary about a guy with a knife who just snaps.
I hear you like horror movies.
It's for you.